prompt is that these characters are actually from a fake cafe gacha game where you can roll to get beverage-based characters. So this means I have two main goals with each character. One, they have to be appealing enough for people to want to collect, and two, you have to be able to tell what drink they're based off just by looking at them, but they cannot look too obvious. Today, I'm turning a chocolate milkshake, a strawberry milkshake, and a banana milkshake into characters. And since they're regular humans, how are we supposed to make them look like what they're supposed to represent without putting whipped cream on their heads? Well, the answer is you can turn anything into a character if you reach hard enough. Let's get started with Charlotte, the chocolate milkshake. So basically, I need to make her look like a chocolate milkshake without putting her in a glass cup and putting syrup on her. I initially wanted to base her off hot chocolate instead, so I ended up making a lot of iterations. And I just don't think that this version of her is the most interesting. I pictured her as a kindergarten teacher, which explains the look, but I kind of wanted to go for something more saucy instead because, you know, maybe the cow shoes are not like the best fit, you know what I'm saying? But there was one idea from these iterations that I really liked, which is that they had this fur pattern because that's how I thought to represent the chocolate fudge and sauce and crumb mixed in with the milk of the ice cream. So it's very nice, so we're keeping that. The first skirt is a bit too much. I tried out a heart-shaped top, which is nice. I was thinking that this top is actually part of a matching set for when Charlotte is going to the club, but she wears it over a blouse when it's not time for the club. I decided to go back to the mood board. I wanted more fur trim with her design, so maybe just the bottom of her skirt. So the top is definitely gonna stay heart-shaped and cute, maybe with this kind of strap around the neck. I want her hair to look more stylish, so let's dye it. Maybe it can have streaks like the chocolate sauce. So we'll make this straw into a hair stick also. And because of the glass cup, I want to try a strappy heel with a glass block like this, but maybe we can make it chunkier, like maybe a platform. So we'll see how we can work with this mood board and start turning Charlotte into a more properly cool and fashionable character. Okay, let's move on to the final design. You know, I feel like art has become more difficult for me lately, which I guess is a sign of improvement, or at least a sign I will eventually improve and level up. I will say, coming up with poses for characters that showcase their personality and the entirety of their fit can be a real pain in the liver. I tried out a dress for Charlotte at first, but then I wanted to settle down and be more daring, try to go make that crop top and skirt combo idea work. But then the skirt that I made at first didn't go so well, so I tried to make it pleated and a bit more puffy, but then something about the structure of it doesn't look very cohesive. I want a more generally rectangular silhouette because cup. Oh gosh, yeah, I'm really reaching here. Anyways, I ended up going for a different fit of skirt instead. And then I also experimented with adding ribbons and corsetry to the fur heart crop top. But then all the detail will be on her chest. And then the rest of her looks really plain in comparison. So I decided against it. Because I have a more semi-realistic style, I don't rely on exaggerated shape language like more cartoony artists. Though admittedly, I could stand to do better shape language. I actually rely way more on patterns and texture when it comes to my character designs and trying to make them represent what they are supposed to represent properly. So for example, when I see the whipped cream on a milkshake, I will want to translate that into white fabric with a lot of wrinkles. So I gave Charlotte leg warmers and also puffy off the shoulder sleeves. I also think the leg warmers give her a slight Gyaru vibe, just a little sprinkling of it. You will see a lot of my character design process involves connecting dots, even if the dots are kind of far away. I gave Charlotte a denim and fur trim skirt at the end, which worked the best out of all the skirts. I think it looks nice. And I also gave Charlotte leg lengthening surgery twice while I painted her because she is supposed to be taller than average. It was only after like 80% of her design was done that I realized that her hair was not working with anything else because it was not actively contributing to her cool vibe. So I gave her a perm, and it pretty much made the entire design better in general, I feel like. I topped off her outfit with a cherry necklace, and all in all, I think she's a pretty nice design. Like, you can obviously tell she's chocolate themed and have a general gist of her personality. She's the fun-loving, relaxed sort, likes fashion and sweet stuff, I guess, and probably does go to the club once in a while. I think she'd be a nice barista for this fake games non-existent cafe, even if she does really hate wearing a barista uniform. I think she would hate having to wear a polo shirt. Okay, now it's time to move on to Strawberry Milkshake, who in terms of aesthetics is very much the opposite of Charlotte. I'm naming her Saffine. To me, a strawberry milkshake immediately brings to mind aesthetic and Pinterest girl. Saffine feels like the sort of character who wants to be a social media manager in the future. Maybe she makes like Etsy, Instagram templates in her free time. I could theoretically just plaster strawberries on her, especially since they're very popular motifs, but then she might be mistaken for a strawberry shortcake themed character instead. So I immediately decided that she should have a skirt that is cut like a glass. I believe the term is drop waist for the waist part and then go-day for the seams on the skirt panels, but I could not for the life of me find a good reference for what I had in my head. But it's okay, I can still work with it. I also decided that her skirt should be pink with red streaks because of the strawberry syrup. And then I workshopped the top. I wanted to look like whipped cream on top of a milkshake, so I'm going for ruffles on top of ruffles. And let's smack some sprinkle patterns on there too. And of course, to make her look like she's the fashionable sort, I am gonna give her a beret, which will have dots on it, so it looks more like a strawberry. And then for her shoes, she will have those trendy Mary Jane sneakers or ballet sneakers that are really popular right now. Okay, let's move on to the final design. I gave her a basket weave handbag. I also did try to give her skirt a batik pattern, a custom batik pattern with strawberries and strawberry flowers and butterflies. But then when I put the pattern on her skirt, it just did not work out. So I was so sad, but it's okay. I can just reuse the pattern for another thing in the future, hopefully. But it was a tragedy because I spent like an hour on the pattern. Whoopsies. Never mind, it's okay. I can just stick to the original plan of like the streaks and gradient patterns. It does look like a smoothie or a milkshake to me. Man, rendering these ruffles for her top, by the way, that was a good practice. Even though I did just like one row and then I just copy pasted the 3 other rows. Since the layered ruffles are really detailed, I didn't really put a lot of detail into the actual long sleeve blouse that she's wearing underneath it. It stays quite simple. Look at her, so cute. I wish I had a basket handbag. I just made up the weave for it on the spot, but I think it looks convincing from afar, which is sometimes all that really matters if you're a painterly artist and you know that people are not gonna like zoom in and look really closely at your stuff. Later on, I was like, actually, the sharp corner of her hijab is kind of messing with the ruffle top. So I ended up changing it later to be more rounded so that it shows the ruffliness of it all the way. And then I also would fix the skirt and make the cut slightly better, add more like round scallops to it. I picture Saffine as being bubbly and enthusiastic, but I don't want her to be just sweet and nothing else. I also want her to have some depth. I picture her as being kind of superficial and materialistic, like very easily swayed by aesthetics, but in like a relatable way. She and Charlotte, I think that even though they look quite different, I think they would have a few things in common, and they would make a good co-worker buddy pair. I think that if Saffine was in a real game, she would be a classic fan favorite because, well, she's pink and she's strawberry themed. Like, what else do you want? And like, if I had a gacha game, I would definitely like design like a bunch of alternative outfits for all the characters. That's like my dream job. Just make characters and then give them more clothes. I love fashion. She would have such a cute Hari Rai outfit, that's for sure. Anyways, Now that we have 2 characters, we need to add 1 more to the mix because 3 is a crowd. Time for Banana Milkshake. He is the token boy and he gave me a real pain in the kidneys. I have decided to name him Benny. I don't know, it could be short for something, or maybe I'm just really bad at naming. Okay, the answer is just I'm really bad at naming. So let's look at this mood board. I am reusing that sprinkles idea from Saffine, and then I'm gonna use it on him but in a slightly different way. So I want to take some inspiration from the Barong Tagalog. So I decided to make it like mix it up with these 2 other tops. So I want this border with the partial like button down area, but I want to make it so that it's not just white embroidery. I want it to have colored modern deco like this top. And then I'll mix it with the structure of this sweater crop top because I think it would look nice on him. It's not really a crop top, it's just slightly cropped lah. So like nobody eats bananas before they have no spots, right? I decided, you know what? We need to have those spots from the banana. We're gonna make that into a pattern and we're gonna put the pattern on the jeans. This is another example of how I rely very heavily on patterns for my character designs. This takes out like 1/4 of my art painting time, I swear. So we can put them on yellow jeans, and then like if we make it look like cheetah patterns, then it won't just look like he's wearing 2 bananas on his legs. And I was like, whoa, I'm a genius. Also, we are definitely gonna dye his hair blonde. Yay! Okay, let's move on to... Wait, before we move on to his final design, we need to bring him to the barber first. Haircut number 1. No, this looks too dull for his character. He kind of looks like he's like just went through a really bad breakup. So no, haircut number 2, something is wrong here. Deeply unsettling. I feel like if I put him in this, people are gonna call him like by the name of an existing anime character, but like if he were less attractive. Haircut number 3, he looks like a cheesy nacho. No. Haircut number 4, I don't know what I did, but it kind of looks like his hair got really fried by the barber. The barber is also me. And haircut number 5, we are slowly getting there. I mean, yeah, the color kind of blends in with his skin tone. But you know, I think it kind of works. I'm kind of executing the vision of the half up, half down hairstyle. And then we're on to haircut number 6. Looks about right to me. Yay! Good job, guys. We did it. But let me just say, I am not graduating hairstyling school anytime, that's for sure. Let's move on to the final design. For male characters, I find it easier to just adapt women's clothing references and make it more boy. Because honestly, I do have trouble finding interesting men's clothing references sometimes. I don't know what it is. Or maybe it's just because like 99% of my clothing references I find on Pinterest are like skirts and dresses. But whatever, I can still work with that. Coming up with poses for characters, I know I mentioned this before, but it truly does pain me on a psychological level. But I managed to do it. He looks like he's about to start saying, "What's up guys, it's your boy Benny here. Be sure to hit that like button and smack that subscribe button with the bell." Yeah, that's definitely him. And I was like really worrying about his pants being too cheesy. What if he looks like he's stupid because he's wearing bananas on his legs? But then I decided that actually, you know what? The spots, right? Because I rendered it in this like specific way, it doesn't make him look too banana. In fact, I actually had to change the color at the end to make them more bright yellow so they don't blend in with his skin tone. And then I still don't think that they look too banana, but I think they look banana enough. I think Benny is a charming design. I think he's a very silly fella. He's like probably like a film student. Maybe he has a YouTube channel. He's probably really close with Saffine. Maybe he has a thing for Charlotte. I don't know. I think he's especially charming specifically because he has glasses and braces and he has a more outlandish outfit. Without the glasses and braces, I think that his design would just not hit as hard. I always love it when people add glasses or braces or whatever onto characters that aren't stereotypically nerdy and shy and that sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, I love like the stereotypical nerd boys, to be honest. They are low-key like my guilty pleasure. They are actually high-key my guilty pleasure, because if there was an Otomi where every single character, every single love interest was just a nerd boy, I would play it. I would still play it. As character artists, sometimes we do fall back on tropes like way too much. We can work with it. I think just like with Charlotte, I may have accidentally wandered into Gyaru adjacent vibes with Benny. I mean, I think it's because of the cheetah print, especially because I want to dye his hair blonde. But neither Charlotte nor Benny are properly in that subculture, but they are just slightly seasoned with that flavor, just like a little sprinkle on top. That's how I would describe them. The thing with fashion subcultures is that sometimes they have very strict rules, or at least a lot of requirements for it to be considered a proper outfit of said subculture. Of course, I understand that, but these characters are based in Singapore. I live in Singapore, and this place is not the most fashionable country because it's so dang hot here and humid. If I put them in a subculture, right, then I have to work more hard to make it fit in, to make them fit into that subculture more. And I'm just like, I'm too lazy to do that. I want them to be free and like on their own. They can do whatever they want. I made Benny's belt into a Pac-Man belt because it's just stupid and I like it. Look at him. One day I will figure out how to draw braces cute like they are in real life, and he will look so cute. But today is not a day. But I think he works well though. I mean, like, hopefully you can tell that he's banana themed at least. Like, maybe the milkshake part gets lost, but like the rest of it should be there. I like him. I like him well enough. Look at all of them together. I think they really look like a fun friend group. They look cohesive when put together as a group, like just slightly cohesive. Like you can tell that they are like from the same series, let's just say. So I think that's great. Who's your favorite milkshake? I think mine is Benny because he's the silliest one. I also have a first episode to the series where I turn milk tea, coffee, and then coffee tea into characters. Check it out here. And if you're an adult artist who wants to talk about character design, your OCs, and you want to share your writing and art, feel free to join my root server in my description. It's super small and cozy, and I would really love to see whatever you want to share. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and see you soon, cousins!